And today I want to show you a different way to use the effects block on the Elektron Syntakt. What you're seeing is a demo of using the effects sequencer in grid mode, not as a sequencer, but as a set of effects, performance triggers, or a buffet, a menu, a palette of effects. This was inspired by EasyBot's templates for the Octatrack, which uses performance effects that are pretty similar to this. And in this video, I'll show you how to set this up, show you how I've made a few of the effects that are on here, and talk a little bit about the ways that you might be able to use this. The FX sequencer track is really powerful. It can be used for amp ducking, with parameter locking, with live recorded automations, trig probability for surprises, and so forth. But for this trick, we're going to disconnect the trigs from the sequencer altogether. Okay, so first we'll do a quick bit of setup. How do we get this going? First, we want to turn off all of the envelopes. I usually turn the drive mostly down, the filter envelope down, the amp envelope all the way to 0, and then the trig probability to 0. This makes any trig, yellow or red, a 0 trig. The sequencer is not going to play it when it goes through, and instead it's a menu that we can access with the grid mode recording button. Second, we've got to route the effects in there. I've been leaving out the reverb and delay because a lot of my effects send signal to those. Number 3, we want to pick a step, and for reasons I'll explain later, I usually use step 1. And we want to p-lock everything, every setting on every page. And this also gives us an idea of all of the things that we can modulate. We can save every setting in the delay, in the reverb page, a couple of settings in the mixer page, including delay and reverb settings, and all of the input track settings as well. So we've got that as our back to normal button, so that when we're playing, we can take things back to normal. And then you can make a trigless trig, a yellow one, or a red one. It doesn't matter, and you can change it back using the function key. I like to make a little sort of pattern. I've got a group of sort of filtering effects, modulation effects, ducking effects, and then some miscellaneous things down here. And then for each effect that we want, this is the famous Daft Punk effect. We've got a high-pass filter that has 2 LFOs, one to amp panning and one to frequency. When you're done making your effects, you can go and copy the whole track, paste it to another track, and use this as a template. Use it in your sort of pattern template or template projects on the Syntakt. You usually have to fine-tune things a little bit when it comes to new effects for new music, but then that's all you've got to do. Next, I'll show what some of the effects that I've put in here in the first day or so of thinking about this. The first is a set of simply filter effects, the famous Daft Punk effect, which uses the amp pan and a high pass filter. Like so. It'll help if I can hear it too. The second is a lo-fi filter that uses a noise rate modulation of the LFO, or sorry, of the filter. A filter bounce, which wobbles the filter and changes that rate of modulation. Then there are modulation effects like chorus. Can be tuned to taste. A notch filter flanger. A phaser. A harder phaser or resonator. And then different settings for emulating the way of ducking the filter at different speeds and a modulated speed. Next, I made a first attempt at a kind of lo-fi tape delay or tape slowdown, and then a riser that uses delay feedback. So those are, a few starting points, but I'm sure there'd be many, many more things that you might be able to think of to do. The next thing I wanted to do was talk about how you might use the effects block. And there's three different ways, I think. First is you could simply use this on, for instance, a particular engine like a lead, or for an external input instrument to give it, for instance, different gated reverb or different choruses or different phasers that you could dial in as you like while you're playing or while you're recording. The second is that you can do something with global effects like what most of I've shown so far. Now, the third thing you can do with it is sort of what I'm calling turnaround effects. And this is a little bit trickier because you can't get from the grid page directly to the mutes. Unless you hit, shout out to Dave Meck who helped me with this, you can hit function and hold and get straight to the mutes, but you can't just let go because then you're in keyboard mode. So what you have to do is from the grid mode, hit function, hold it the whole time, hit track, do your mutes, then hit track again. That can get you out. What I did in my demo and what I think I prefer is to use, get me out of that keyboard. No, come on. Okay, is to use the record button to get into the kind of performance effects trigs, then go out, do these, and go back. Now, the reason that you might have guessed that I put the reset trig on the one that takes away all the effects and goes back to normal, is that this is not what I've been calling a zero trig. It is a 1 out of 2 or 100 or 1 out of 4, so that at the end of every 16 bars, if you want to do a bunch of effects, you can then just go back and know that at the end, of your turnaround, when it's time to go back things will go back. So you can go crazy and you have this happen, do whatever mutes you want to do. And now it's set to, I accidentally set it to 1 out of 4, so we won't wait for it the whole time. But you know that it's going to do the timing right for you so that you can do whatever you want. So, I hope that comes in handy for you and gives you something to try out and consider using on your Syntakt. It's always exciting to find something a little bit new in the elektron sequencer, even when it's treating it not like a sequencer at all. All right, thanks for watching.